Let me ask you something weird. Why is it that the goals you swear you'll stick to every new year quietly disappear by February? Almost like they ghosted you. Because here's the strange part. There's one thing you've been doing every January that almost guarantees failure. But you won't even realize what it is until you see the story I'm about to tell you. And once you see it, you'll never set goals the same way again. But before I reveal that, there's something even stranger you need to know. Every year, millions of people make the same mistake without noticing it. A mistake so sneaky it feels productive, but actually makes your brain less likely to care about the goal. I'll show you exactly what this mistake is, but first, let me tell you about the guy who accidentally discovered it by ruining his own year in the funniest way possible. This guy, Sam, decided that this was the year he'd get super productive. He bought a whiteboard the size of a small apartment door. He wrote 19 goals on it, from learning guitar to drinking 3 liters of water daily to be nicer to people probably. And he felt amazing. You know that feeling? The excitement of a fresh start, the vibe of new year, new me, the smell of gym memberships being used exactly twice. But here's what happened next. By January 12th, the whiteboard was gone. Well, technically it was still hanging on the wall, but it had become whiteboard decor. Why? Because Sam fell into the same trap you fall into. And here's where things get weird. Sam didn't fail because he was lazy. He failed because he was too excited. I know, sounds backwards, but that excitement triggers a psychological glitch no one talks about. And if you don't understand this glitch, no goal will ever stick. Let me show you the result of this glitch first. Scientists found that when you set a huge, inspiring goal, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine, the same chemical you get when you've already achieved something. Meaning, when you write the giant New Year goals list, your brain celebrates as if you're done, even though you didn't do anything yet. This is why people quit early. They already got the reward, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is what happens after. Because once your brain gets that tiny dopamine hit, it starts protecting itself from anything that feels harder than the fantasy. Which means your goals get filed into the same category as I'll do it later, I'll start Monday, and maybe the universe will do it for me. So how do you fix this glitch? Well, not by doing what you think. You don't need smaller goals. You don't need more discipline. You don't need a fancy planner that looks like it was designed by a productivity monk. The fix is something totally different, and you can do it in 60 seconds. But before I reveal exactly how it works, you need to understand the next piece of this puzzle. Most people don't fail goals because they're hard. They fail because the goal is missing one tiny piece that instantly makes your brain take it seriously. It's the difference between I want to lose weight and oh crap, if I don't do this, something embarrassing will happen. But I promise I'm not talking about fear motivation. It's way smarter than that. Let me show you a real example of what happens when you add this missing piece, the trigger moment. A study followed people who wanted to build a new habit. Half of them just set goals normally. The other half added this one step. After 10 weeks, the second group was 3 times more successful. Not 10%, not 20%, but 3 times. So what did they do? Did they chant affirmations in the mirror? Did they wake up at 5 a.m. to eat chia seeds under the moonlight? Nope. They just added a when-then sentence. Let me tease it first before I explain it. If your goal is the what, the when-then sentence is the instruction manual your brain desperately needed but never got. Sam, our whiteboard guy, he didn't have this, and he didn't even know he needed it. But once he finally used it, everything changed. Not slowly, but instantly. I'll show you exactly how it works, but first, there's something more important than when-then. A piece people ignore, which is why even smart people fail at goals. And this is the part that no New Year's advice ever talks about. The gray zone. Have you ever noticed this weird thing? You're not failing your goals, but you're not really winning either. You're just sort of floating. That floating zone is deadly because nothing feels urgent. Let me give you an example that hits a little too close to home. Have you ever told yourself, I'll get productive once the holidays are over? Then, okay, I'll start after the first week of January. Then, okay, maybe once I'm less busy. Then suddenly it's April and you're like, wow, time flies when you're avoiding your destiny. That's the gray zone. And to escape it, you need something counterintuitive. Not motivation, not accountability, but a tiny guaranteed win every day. This leads us into the second fix, but be careful because if you misunderstand this part for even 5 seconds, you'll accidentally make your goals harder instead of easier. The 2-minute disconnect. Here's where everything clicks. Most habits fail because people try to build the full version of the habit first, but your brain only accepts new habits in miniature form. So instead of saying, I'll read 20 minutes a day, you say, I'll read for 2 minutes. After that, I can stop. Sounds stupid, sounds tiny, and that's why it works. Because once you start, you usually don't stop at 2 minutes. But even if you did, you still won. Your brain learns consistency before it learns intensity. This is why people who start tiny grow faster than people who start big. But here's the twist. This method alone is not enough, because without one more step, you'll still eventually fall off. And this next step is the step almost no one ever talks about, but it's the real reason people stay consistent long term. The identity shift. Let me tease this first. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your identity. Goals are about the future, identity is about the present, and your brain cares way more about now. If you're someone who tries to read, you'll always struggle. But if you become someone who is a reader, even 2 minutes feels normal. Identity is the cheat code. But you don't create identity by affirmations like, I am a great person of productive energy. No, you create identity through tiny wins stacked daily. Identity is just repeated evidence. This leads us to the final piece, the one that ties this entire system together. And once you understand this, goal setting becomes less like forcing yourself and more like gravity pulling you forward. The anchor. Every lasting habit is attached to something that already exists in your day. Not motivation, not willpower, not your New Year energy that disappears faster than champagne bubbles. The anchor is simple. You attach your new habit to something you already do without effort. You don't decide when to do it. The anchor decides for you. For example, when I put my morning coffee down, then I stretch for 2 minutes. When I close my laptop at night, then I read 2 pages. When I brush my teeth, then I practice 1 minute of gratitude. Your day becomes a chain of small automatic events. No searching for time, no I'll do it later. The anchor makes the habit happen before your excuses even show up to work. And once that happens, your identity starts shifting automatically. Your consistency builds itself, and your goals stop feeling like battles and start feeling like routines. Remember the mistake I teased in the very beginning? The one almost everyone makes every January? Here it is. You've been setting goals based on inspiration instead of infrastructure. Inspiration feels good. Infrastructure works. The real reason people stick to goals is because they build when-then instructions, tiny guaranteed wins, identity through small evidence, and anchors that remove decision-making. Do these 4 things, and you instantly become the kind of person who sticks to things. Not because you're disciplined, not because you're special, but because you rewired the system your brain uses to take action. So this year, don't try to become a new you. Just build a better system and let the new you happen automatically. Now, before you go make your goals, I want you to imagine something. It's the end of next year. You look back, and for the first time ever, you actually stuck to everything that mattered. Feels good, right? Now go build the system that makes that memory real.